Hi, I'm Ben Carpenter. I'm the Chief Executive of Social Value UK. We're the national network for anyone interested in social value. We have members comprising private sector businesses, public sector organisations, as well as civil society organisations. We're bringing people together to really understand what social value is and what are the best ways to measure and manage social value. Social Value UK is the national chapter of Social Value International, so we're one of 24 other networks around the world who are creating a sort of standardised approach to the way that we account for value. For many years we've made most of our decisions on cost and financial value, looking at price, and it's time to broaden that definition of value and look at social and environmental. So Social Value UK is sort of subscribing to this principles-based approach for accounting for value, which looks at the impact we're having on people's lives. Well, that could be positive impact, it could be negative impact. It's the intended impact we want to have and see on people's lives, but also unintended. And we believe this is really important for making organisations more accountable to the people that they affect, and reducing inequality and improving the sustainability of our environment. Social Value UK has been around for 10 years. We've been working with our members for the last 10 years from all different sectors, so that's charities, voluntary organisations, but also businesses and also local government organisations as well. There's a real mixture of members who are coming together to talk about this thing called social value. Some people might call it social impact, some people call it social value, businesses might call it social capital, but essentially we're all talking about the same thing, which is the impacts we're having on people's lives as a result of our activities. And so it's been great to sort of work across sectors to get a shared understanding and broker those conversations, because even more now than ever it's important that we all work together. And I think it's an exciting time at the moment with the Social Value Act, and particularly in the last 3 years how social value has been embedded in procurement. And I must say sort of the increased conversations around social value and procurement have been great, have been allowed us to sort of broker even more conversations between businesses and sort of third sector organisations in their supply chain. And of course that's all part of creating better public contracts. The Social Value Act has huge potential for the way that we procure services and goods, but also huge potential for the way that businesses operate, and that really relates to their behaviour as well. So whilst a lot of what we do is around the measurement piece of how you can measure and account for social value, it's not just about measurement, it's about a cultural change within an organisation. And it starts with creating a culture of understanding what social value is, and that social value is about the impact we're having on people's lives. And if you can get that embedded in your culture, it should run through to your behaviours, and suddenly decisions will start being made that are related to how your business activities are impacting on people's lives. And that really ranges, and lots of things are already happening. Businesses are fantastic at doing this at the moment. You know, they've got loads of systems in place to make sure that their employees, for example, have a good work-life balance and good work experience. And that, for me, sits under social value as well, because it's about improving the life and the satisfaction of their employees, because they realise that sort of a happy workforce is a productive workforce. And I think that is a good example of how businesses are already doing a lot around social value. And I would really like to see that recognised under the kind of social value in procurement conversation. So I think top tip for local authorities, my top tip would be start off internally with your senior leadership team to really get a good understanding amongst yourselves internally about what social value means for your organisation. And once that understanding is there, that sort of shared understanding internally, then go out to partners and departments and sort of explain that social value is about people's lives and how we can create more positive impact in those lives. Once you have that understanding, then it's really about putting systems in place that we can kind of collect data that we need to improve people's lives. For us at Social Value UK, one of the most important principles is involving your stakeholders. So that means actually speaking to people and understanding the changes that they're experiencing in their lives. So if you're trying to create social value and optimise the amount of social value through procurement or any of your activities, Can't underestimate the importance of actually speaking with people, understanding what changes in their lives and what's important to them. And if you know that, you can design your services around that to create more social value. A really good example of stakeholder involvement is probably Wigan. They realised they had such huge cuts under austerity that they needed to provide services in a different way. And so they really sort of went to the community, worked with the community groups and the organisations that were at the heart of the community to understand what were the real needs of the people in the town, and actually they then designed services with the limited resources around that, and also empowered those people to shape the services themselves. And that therefore allowed them to create social value. So the Social Value Act has a very broad definition of social value. It includes improving the social, economic and environmental well-being of a place. Now that's great because that broad definition allows you to encompass a number of different initiatives and actions. I suppose I would be careful though, because there is a difference between economic value and social value, and there is a tendency under social value to focus on the economic value. And that's not a bad thing, but it's different to social value. So for example, there's an emphasis on providing jobs for local people and spending money with local businesses. Again, not a bad thing, good for a local economy, but that's not exactly what social value is, because social value is about the impact we're having on people's lives. So if those jobs are not very good jobs, for example, then it's very different. It might be creating economic value, but what is the person's experience? And so my plea would be to really get a sort of a distinction between the two. Economic value, great. Social value, great. But they are slightly two different things.